So what happens if you spend $2 million a year to live until you're 200? Well, wonder no more. Here's Bryan Johnson. He's doing exactly that. Bryan has reversed his biological age by 5.1 years in just 7 months. Currently aging at 0.76 years per year, meaning that he's on target to live until he's 200 years old. The most interesting thing I found about all of this is that he's documenting all of it on his website, The Blueprint. I absolutely love stuff like this, and when I heard about Bryan, I think on a podcast, I had to know more. Obviously, not all of us have a little penny of $2 million a year to spend on our health and the rest of it, and nor do we really want to be doing some of these practices. So what I want to talk about is the 80-20, the fundamentals, the basic principles. So here's 5 of them. Number 1, stop self-destructive behavior. So all of us have either one or maybe a handful of these behaviors which are fully holding us back in life. For Bryan, it was binge eating, but for some of us, it could be maybe watching too much adult content, or spending too much time on social media, or maybe playing too much video games, or maybe alcoholism. Like, the essence here is you're trying to go through life as if you're sprinting with a parachute on. Of course, you're not going to get very far. So here you want to cut the cord of the parachute so you're able to walk faster than before when you were sprinted with a parachute on. Here you want to identify the worst version of yourself and set up the environment in a way where it makes it impossible to carry out the bad habits. If maybe you're struggling with social media or adult content, you can literally have blockers on your, whether it's on your laptop or maybe on your phone and stuff, make it literally impossible for you to carry out the bad habits. Over time, when you focus more on the good and the healthy habits, these become self-reinforcing. Okay, number 2, diet and supplements. So obviously, speaking of nutrition and diet and stuff, like, no two humans are the same, meaning that a perfect diet for somebody is obviously not going to be the perfect diet for somebody else. But having resources like this is always a really good start. So the diet protocol he follows: so he eats under 2,000 calories per day. He's on a 24% calorie restriction. There's millions of studies. Okay, maybe not millions, but there's a lot of studies of calorie deficit and how beneficial it actually is for you, especially in this modern world, and as well as fasting. So I think what Bryan does is does 16 hours off and 8 hours like feeding time. Again, there's crazy amounts of material out there about fasting, and like, yeah, don't even tell you this again. Let me show you exactly what he eats. Okay, this was the recipe I was initially trying to make, a super veggie. I have to make a confession. I'm not actually following the recipe. I'm just like improvising, you know, because yeah, I want to upload this video today, and I'm also quite hungry, so I don't really want to make a lentil, broccoli, cauliflower smoothie. You know what? Next time, if I make a part 2, I will fully make it. You know, I'm just super hungry, and I'm just not feeling like a broccoli smoothie. You know, this is what it turned out like. Yeah, close enough. He found a vegan diet is the best for him. Again, I won't disagree, because I happen to be vegan as well. And all the dietary gaps he fills with supplements. Yeah, speaking of supplements, he takes about 100 pills per day, and about 50 of them in the morning and 50 of them in the afternoon. I'm not sure how I feel about that. That is a lot of pills. For the majority of us, this is very unrealistic. So especially if you don't take any, here's the main ones you want to consider. Number 1 being vitamin D, number 2 being omega-3, and number 3 being B12, and maybe throwing a multivitamin there somewhere as well. Yeah, it's like vitamin D, especially during winter, is incredible. Like, I live in England, and quite frankly, there is no sun. The sun just hibernates during winter, and yeah, like, I kind of get seasonal depression. I just get down during winter, so I need to supplement vitamin D. The third point is sleep. This is probably the most important aspect of all of it. This is the number 1 thing Bryan stresses the most. Bryan talks about how culturally, or like, all of us treat sleep like it could be negotiated. Bryan has this concept where you want to treat sleep as a lighthouse, where it's non-negotiable, it just is. So here's the protocol he follows: blackout room, the same bedtime daily, sleep alone, blue light blockers before going to sleep, 1 hour downtime before bed, temperature controlled mattress, again, a bit expensive. In reality, just make sure that your room's cold, and don't eat too close to bedtime. Realistically, leave anywhere between 2 and 4 hours before going to sleep. In a recent video I saw with Bryan, he now has his last meal about 10 hours before sleep. In reality, for most of us, just not gonna happen. But the main point is, like, just leaving as much time as you can between your last meal and then sleep. And if you want to know a bit more about just the science, just the importance of sleep, I recommend this book. It's called Why We Sleep by Dr. Matthew Walker. 4 is exercise. Again, crazy good for you. You don't really need me to tell you how amazing exercise is for everything you do. The exercise regime he follows is really interesting. Obviously, it's more focused on longevity, flexibility, instead of like trying to 1 rep max your bench or your deadlift or whatever. Again, like that's what I used to do. Yeah, I think like it's not even just me, just everybody at the start. When they start going to the gym, it's like, yeah, bro, let's see how much we lift. Yeah, after a while you realize not sustainable. Maybe after 1 or 2 injuries, you're like, yeah, probably not the best. Again, I'm not saying that, yeah, you should not just train for strength, because strength is a key part of it, but just not trying to focus purely on just your 1 rep maxes and on just that kind of avenue of it. There's like just a bigger picture about all of this. And just in regards to health, there's a saying I heard. It goes along the lines of somebody who's healthy has 1,000 dreams, but somebody who's sick only has 1. Number 5, regular measurements. So how do you know if you're staying on track or going off balance if you're not measuring what you're doing? Again, I'm going to butcher some more sayings. You can't progress where you can't track. Is that it? Maybe. Something along those lines. Come on, you know what I mean. Regular measurements for Bryan includes all sorts of stuff with your brain, with your liver, with your heart, with your stomach, etc. Quite frankly, like, again, we really don't have $2 million a year to be spending on this stuff, but the main things is just having regular bullet work done, making sure that you're heading the right way, possibly even taking some gym progress pics or just tracking your weight. Okay, and a bonus point is skincare. Again, it's one of those basic ones and fundamental ones. If you start early, you're able to compound it to make sure that you're not wrinkly fuck by the age of 35. Bryan's skincare routine is very extensive and thorough and very intense and maybe borderline invasive. And quite frankly, like, we don't have $2 million a year to spend on it, and nor do we have the time or the patience, to be honest, of having like 100 steps skincare routine. To be honest, like a couple of years back, my ex did like her skincare routine on me, maybe like 2-3 times, and that was like 5 steps. That was way too long. Couldn't hack it, I can't lie. So again, I'm a guy, just 2 steps do plenty, you know. Okay, so if you want to find out more about like just fundamentals, the 80-20 of skincare, I'll link this video Ali Abdaal did about evidence-based skincare routine. But in essence, you want to have some solid face wash, and in the morning you want to have some sort of air moisturizer with a bit of sunblock, and in the evening having a PM moisturizer. Basically, that's about it. You can add certain bits to it, but to be honest, that'll do, you know. I link all the extra resources and his website, of course, in the description below. Okay, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I shall see you later.